A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
And I am recording from LA. It's nice and super early here. It's like 7 a.m.
You did it.
Well, you know, I've been trying to just stay on New York time.
Yeah.
So I went to bed at like 8:45 last night.
Yes.
So I've been up for like a little bit, and I have to say nothing makes you feel better than everyone else than being up super early.
That's actually, if you're interested in bringing your meditation practice, that's an amazing time to meditate. Both regular mindfulness meditation and transcendental meditation, they always recommend if you're up early before everyone else, it's nice and quiet. It's like a very spiritual time. So take advantage of it if you're up early.
Yeah, maybe I'll try that tomorrow when I wake up, probably equally early.
So what are you up to there?
I'm doing some podcasts with Jared.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. We're some fun shows. It'll be out in the next few weeks, I think. And then I'm coming back Tuesday night taking the red eye. So I'm also like, my red eye is at like 9:30. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be really tired by then because I'm staying on New York time.
Right.
And then we're doing some recordings. You and I, our next couple of recordings, you're going to be in studio.
Yes.
So you guys should definitely watch them if you're not already on YouTube. And then we're doing our big family hang. I'm really excited.
So excited for that, getting all packed up, recording, hanging, getting to finally meet Ronnie, all the things.
Yes.
Like so many, how many people are you going to have in your house at one time, like at the max?
Well, you're a family of 5, and then Josh's family of 4, so that's 9. And then John is 10 plus me and Mike, so 12 of us in the house.
All right,
it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a party. All right,
yeah,
I'm excited for that. This is
7 adults and 5 kids.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
awesome.
That's gonna be
big family sleepover.
Yeah, I'm getting excited. I think it'll be like as it usually is, like a little bit of controlled chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. But I've got some activities in mind for us. So
sweet. I'm excited.
Yeah. We're gonna do some hikes. We're gonna go to the beach. We're gonna maybe make some pizzas. We got a outdoor pizza oven.
Yes. All sounds so fun. Yay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get there. This time next week we will be in person.
Yes. What are you up to? You said you had a good story.
So well, I just had a weekend where I was, kind of forced and or chose to like drop my ego a little bit. And on Saturday, Brooks had a football practice at a playground near our house. So I've been trying, he's 7, and I've been trying to make him independent, which he is pretty independent. He has that little motorbike that we talked about that we got yelled at for.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to have him ride his motorbike to his practice by himself on Saturday morning. And Lila, my oldest, was going to go with him. And somehow the lines got crossed and they went to the wrong park. Long story short,
did she walk next, like behind him?
No, she has a scooter. She has like an electric scooter.
So
those are really fun and pretty cool. If you've been on one of those like adult, it's basically like an adult electric scooter. It goes pretty fast. It's like a commuter scooter.
I have such bad hand-eye coordination that like just adding electricity to anything I'm doing is terrifying to me. Like you could crash faster and injure yourself more. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just very bad at like spatial awareness, but go on.
Oopsie.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So you remember.
Yeah. I remember when I came to visit you in college and I saw that you were bartending and I was just like laughing so hard because I was
Bar was pretty low.
You're like, pouring drinks. Like you just don't have the speed of like a bartender, like shaking the shaker. You were like just very slowly, nicely, like, moving at your own pace. But I don't think that was the career field for you.
No. But thankfully, I mean, most people at a bar in college are ordering like pretty simple, easy beer.
Open a beer.
Or like
hand it to
vodka
them.
soda. And if it was anything I didn't know how to make, I would always say, we're out of that. Sorry.
Love it.
If it was anything where like the ingredients weren't in the name. If it wasn't like a gin and tonic or like a vodka soda, I'd be like, unfortunately, we're out of those ingredients.
Yes. So yes, I decided to get on the only vehicle that we had left for me to ride to this park, which you kind of have to get to on a bike, was like a small child's bike. Like, you know, where I'm like pedaling, like my knees up to my chin, like. This
was the only way you could get to the park was by riding a children's bike?
I wanted to get there fast, and I would have had to like leave my car and then walk like a bunch of the way. It was just faster to get there on this children's bike. And then thinking like you, I'm kind of like, well, I need to wear a helmet because like, you know, I want to be a good role model for the kids. They need to wear a helmet. I need to wear a helmet. So I'm wearing this like ridiculous like BB-8 like Star Wars helmet and riding this kid's bike to get to the park. And then I like ride and I show up and it's Lila and Brooks and they're at the wrong park. There's the two of them. And Lila is dying laughing as she sees me coming up the road. Then I finally get them. We pull up to the real park where they're supposed to go, where it's like all the other football parents. And I'm like riding up on my like kid's bike with my Star Wars helmet. But
was she like funny. She was laughing and she wasn't like embarrassed? That's cute.
Well, there was nobody else there. If she would have had a friend there, it would have been over. Like that would not have been
horrifying. Yeah. No. I don't know whose mom that is.
I'm just thinking like I'm trying to picture the other moms in the neighborhood, and I'm like, there is not another mom in this neighborhood that I think would ever. Like,
that's good. It means you don't take yourself too seriously.
Exactly. So there's that. And then, so I had that on Saturday. And then Jeff had a show, his band, Pride in the Name of U2. If anybody likes rock and roll music, they played in Fort Worth, which, have you ever been to Fort Worth?
I think I went with you guys. Is it like the more like cowboy-esque spot? Yeah, I've been with you guys. Yeah.
Fort Worth is really cool. I think if anyone's looking for like a bachelorette spot, or it's really, you feel like you're almost in Universal Studios, like cowboy Western town, but it's real. It's like a real cowboy town. Anyway, so he had a show there and I went with him, but I had like a bunch of time to kill. They have to load in and do all this stuff. And I'm doing my transcendental meditation. So I'm just like finding I hadn't done my meditation yet for the afternoon. So I'm just like finding a spot in the middle of like everything happening. There's like longhorn cows walking by and like just people, you know, walking all over tourists. And I'm just sitting on this bench for 23 minutes doing my meditation. I'm like, are people going to think that I'm like a junkie, like sleeping on this bench?
Well, if you were wearing that helmet, maybe.
No, I changed. I had a cute little cowgirl outfit on. I felt cute. I like going to Fort Worth. But yeah, so those were my two moments where I'm like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me right now. I'm doing what I need to do in the way that I need to do it.
Right. And I find I lean that way too. But then sometimes I'm like, and I do feel like we grew up in a house where there was very little there was very little discussion of like what other people thought of like weird things that you would do, which was, I guess, kind of nice. Like our mom is definitely not someone who was like, we can't do this because like the neighbors are going to like think a certain way. Like that was pretty nice. Yeah. Mommy's to a fault. I was like a little embarrassing probably for us, but like, I do think that's a nice quality to have more than being like totally in the other direction. Like I'm not constantly thinking about like what other people think of my outfit or that kind of thing.
I like it too. I think there is sometimes a fear of like, did I miss the memo? You know, like
get with the program.
Get with the a little bit of that, which I'm sure people were thinking when they saw me ride up to the football practice, like in my Star Wars helmet with my kid's bike. Like, who are you, woman?
No, I think it's probably like maybe we could have used like a little bit more.
Yeah.
towards the middle. Because sometimes then you wind up in situations where you're like, no one told me that this is
Right.
how we were supposed to be. Even for college, I remember like I wound up freshman year, I was in like an all girls dorm because I like no one like I don't think I like real like no one ever was just like
You have
can
to fill
be
out
in
the
a
papers to do the other thing. Right.
right, and then you get there and you're like, oh, most people like don't. This isn't like the cool thing to do.
This is all
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
The people that either did this on purpose or probably all the type B people like you that had no idea
Right.
what they were supposed to do and ended up
Right.
there.
I was like, how did no one mention to me that like this isn't what everyone was doing?
Right.
But it's okay. We all lived.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like this release afterwards of like, whatever. I'm just going to do me.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was my weekend.
I love that.
It was a blast. And yeah, let's get into what some other people have going on.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for writing in. Also, so make sure you're checking us out on YouTube and subscribe if you want 2 extra bonus episodes a month. Our second bonus episode of the month is out. We have a listener on. We go through some family issues surrounding a wedding. I know you guys have a lot of those kinds of questions. We see them all the time. This was a really great episode. We really get into it with the listener. And if you're a subscriber, you can listen to that and you can get all the episodes ad-free and a day early. So it's a pretty good deal. We love our subscriber community. And also, if you want to get even more involved, like you personally want to be a part of the conversation, you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups. And how do they do that?
Yes, go to naomibernstein.com. You'll find all the info there, what the groups are about, what we're trying to do. We're doing a really cool challenge right now, which is basically called a mirror seat challenge. So this is where it works for people that are just new joining, kind of to get some feedback from the group on how you're kind of perceived or the vibe that you give off. So for the people that have been
terrifying.
in the group, terrifying. It's optional, right? Not everyone has to do it. It's optional, but if you're interested and you're in a place where you feel like you want to reflect on kind of how you're showing up in the world and just because someone perceives you in a certain way doesn't mean that's necessarily you. Their whole experience and the interactions that they've had in the world play into that. But we do some really cool stuff like that in the group where we can talk about each other with each other in the group, and it's really connected and powerful. And so that's a cool exercise that we're doing right now. If you're interested in something like that, we do these little challenges. We do meditation. We talk about whatever's going on and in each other's lives and support and all the good things. So if that sounds like something you're into, naomibernstein.com, hit me up. We'll find you a group.
Love it. Let's get into your problems, today's listeners. I'll read our first Craft My Text email.
Let's do it.
Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. Thank you for all you do, and I love listening every week. I need help crafting a text response. Attached a screenshot below. For context, I was invited to a friend's baby shower, but not able to go, as noted in my text. On the invitation, there was a note about a baby pool. It was a $5 entry per person to guess the baby's date and time of birth for a chance to win $20, and the rest of the money would be put towards the baby's college fund. I sent a gift from their registry to my friend's house and a text about how I was bummed to be missing it, and then formally RSVP'd with his mom and got this response. I thought the pool idea was a little strange because everyone will already be sending or bringing gifts, but I thought it could be a fun activity for the day of the shower, not really for people who aren't going to the event. I think it's even more strange to directly ask if I'd like to contribute, as it was optional, and if I wanted to, I would have told her. Now I feel pressure to send in money and a guest for my husband and I. How do you think I should respond? Thanks, a baby pool Betch. So let's read the text.
Okay, sounds good.
Hi, Mrs. Blank. This is Blank. Thank you so much for the invite to Blank and Blank's baby shower. I really appreciate it. I wanted to let you know that unfortunately, Blank and I won't be able to make it since my in-laws will be staying with us that weekend. Have a great day celebrating baby boy Blank.
Hi, I'm sorry you won't be able to join us. Have fun with your parents. Would you like to participate in the baby pool?
I feel like this is a great text for a people pleaser to have to deal with.
Yes, I do.
Right?
I do like that she has to deal with it. First of all, I just want to say, I think that usually
What do you think of the baby pool concept?
Yes. Usually I'm on the team, like, no pressure. Like sometimes these things are excessive with weddings and babies and the asks that people have. On this one, I think it's a $5 ask. And it's not really for the day, like the day of the baby shower is fun, but it's kind of, I think, to get people excited and involved in like the birth of the baby. Like what day and time is the baby going to come? So it's more like, oh, yay, the baby came then. And I also won $20. It's like a way to get people kind of excited about the birth of your baby, which I think could be cute. I think it's fine. I think it's a $5 ask. I don't think it's a big deal. However, if she doesn't want to, I don't think she has to.
I actually think it's very annoying that people are asked. I think if you're going to a party, I'm fine with the game.
Right.
I'm fine with the game, but I think it should be like you enter the game because you're like having fun and invested in the game. And if you win, you get like a fruit
prize.
basket.
Right.
Or like a casserole. Like, I don't think it should be like you should be, you're now like subsidizing the baby's college fund with what? There's going to be like
how much? Like
$100 is going to be, right. Yeah. Like, I think that the concept of like, we're paying for it and then you get $20 and then the rest goes in again, like how many people are at this shower? That's kind of annoying. It's like assuming people are like, and again, it's not about the money. It is a small amount of money.
Right.
But I think like the classier thing to do would be like, all right, you want to play this game that's nice and fun for the guests, but like, then make it just like you get a prize. You don't have to like
buy the
enter
prize and give it out.
Right. And she could, and then I think if she's like, do you want to guess? It would be like sweeter if she was like, do you want to guess even though you're not coming, do you want to like throw in a guess?
Yes.
And you could still win the prize.
Yes. Yeah. I hear you. I do hear you. How much are they getting for a college fund with $5 a person?
Right.
It does seem like they could just buy a $50 gift card or whatever it is and give it to the winner.
Seems a little tacky to me personally, to make them like pay to enter the thing. So, but like, fine. It's not like the worst thing I've ever. It's not like the nesting party where everyone had to take the dirty mattress to the dump. That was amazing. This is not quite on that level. But I mean, I can understand why she's like, this thing is kind of stupid and I don't really, it's like a little annoying that I'm being asked to do it when I'm already sending a gift. So
yeah,
I crafted a text to have her dodge that.
Okay. What did you write?
I find these things like if you're just super enthusiastic, like whoever's more enthusiastic usually gets like left alone because it's like enthusiasm really just comes off confident.
Right.
I actually already sent the happy couple a gift off their registry. I'm so excited for them.
Okay.
So like, what is she going to say to that? Like, well, do you want to give this also? Like,
right.
I think if she pushed back after that, I would just send the $5 to end the conversation. But I think if she's like, this is like a little annoying and I don't really want to do it, I would just like be excitedly saying you already sent a gift, which is, again, if you're not going to a baby shower, I think a very nice gesture anyway.
Totally. Yes, I agree. Mine was similar, but a little bit more, like you said, pushing the potential people pleaser to challenge themselves, where what I wrote was, no thanks. So excited for you all. Can't wait to meet the baby soon.
Oh, wow. No thanks.
No thanks.
No thanks.
Do you want to participate in the game? No thanks. I do not want to participate in the game.
Yours is a lot more direct. I respect it.
What do you think? Too hard?
No, I think it's like yours is like the right thing to do. Mine is like, I think like I feel like I might feel anxious about doing that. But again, maybe if that's like just a weird tendency, like she didn't feel weird asking.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. She didn't feel weird. She didn't feel weird. Like, so I guess if she didn't feel weird asking, you shouldn't feel weird directly saying no.
Yeah. Do you want to play beer pong? No, thanks.
Right. Mine is like not answering her question and then just like responding with a.
Right.
With
which I think either one I think is fine, but I agree with you. She didn't feel uncomfortable asking you after you saw the option and opted not to take it. So you shouldn't feel uncomfortable just saying no thanks and then follow it up with something warm and fuzzy. So excited for you all. Can't wait to meet the baby. I hope you have a great time at the shower.
Right.
But yeah, no, not doing that.
Yeah. See, this is why I wouldn't want to host an event, because then you like have to interact with all these people. I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard. And they probably don't even really know each other that well. He can't control what his mother's doing if she's like reiterating that there's another way for you to give in more money that I agree. I think it's a little, if it's on the invitation, you don't need to reiterate it. And I do agree. She could have said, would you like to guess? Put in a guess.
Yeah. I think put in a guess. And again, I think that's like the better way to do it. I think it's fun to have like a little game. Like I'm fine with that at a baby shower, but I think that like it shouldn't be they are still, even though they're there to celebrate your baby, they're still your guests. So I think it's more about the
Yes.
guest experience. They're not like
Right.
at an auction. They're not at a charity event. They're at like
Yes.
an event that's for you. I think that's just a nice thing to keep in mind, to like not ask your guests for money, no matter
Yeah.
what the amount is.
Yep. I hear you. I could agree with that. Look, to each their own. I think some way it could be fun, but if you're not into it, you don't have to do it. You sent a gift that was really thoughtful and nice.
Agreed. Let's do a Betchicist. Naomi, you want to read this one?
Yes, I will read this. Uh-oh, here we go. It's a weight question. Let's do it. All right.
This is for the benefit subscribers who, we really get into these kinds of debates on the benefits episodes if you're not a subscriber, but we're going to do the best we can with this one.
Yeah. Yes, we are going to do the best we can, take all the feedback that we've gotten and gone through on Calm the Fuck Down, and we are going to use it here. All right, here we go. Hi, Naomi and Jordana. I'm a woman of pretty average size and build, not overweight, not skinny. I've struggled with my weight throughout my life and have had occasions of being overweight, and I was heavily bullied for it as a kid. In being constantly bombarded with messages about the ideal body type, it can be habitual to occasionally comment on my body, almost as though I'm apologizing for it. I guess I never really noticed myself doing this because it seems so common for women to do. I have a friend who's a little bigger. She's very fit and sexy, just curvier. She frequently complains about her size. Recently, she lashed out at me for commenting on the size of my arms in a picture. I wasn't even necessarily disparaging them. I just said, my arms are huge.
Partly that sounds like she's disparaging them.
It does sound like that.
It's a sound like that. Sorry.
Yeah. If she said my arms are buff or my arms, look strong
built,
or something.
Right.
Built. Yeah. I just said my arms are huge, partly because I've been doing a lot of upper body workouts and it surprised me to see how bulky they had gotten. And I wasn't sure how to feel about that. The general tone from her sounded like, I'm allowed to complain about my body, but you're not. I sort of get it, and I think it would be a good idea for me to work on not doing this because it bothers her and doesn't really help me. But I can't help feeling resentful of the double standard and notion that my struggles to love my body have to have anything to do with hers. Like she's allowed to struggle and I'm not just because I'm a little bit smaller. Should she also not be allowed to voice her feelings because there are other people that are bigger than her? Thoughts. A betch with fluctuating weight.
I appreciate the email. I think it's an interesting discussion. To me, this is not a matter of like her friends, like no one else can complain about their body because like I'm bigger. No one else who's smaller than me can complain about their body. But I do think it does feel a little bit like insensitive or unaware to be calling your arms huge next to someone whose arms are bigger than yours.
Right.
Like I do think I could see feeling insulted by that. Like if I have a petite friend and they're like, and they said, my or like a friend that was much smaller than me and they were insulting the size of a body part that's much smaller than mine already, I might feel like they are judging that about me.
Yes.
I would think,
yes,
I would think that. Yeah. That
they're like,
they think
huge,
right.
What do you think about mine?
What must you be thinking about mine? Which I think is not an inaccurate way to think.
Right.
Right.
Yes. No, I agree. I could see why the friend was a little bit annoyed. But again, taking some of the feedback that we've gotten, you could, and even the way she describes it, her saying my arms are huge. Yes, I do think in the course of probably the dynamic that they have, and she even says she's gotten in the habit of disparaging her own body. So I think, you could perceive this as like she's saying my arms are huge. Like, like even the comment of like, someone will be like, oh my God, she's a beast. And that's like a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like she's
Is it?
strong. I think so. Like if I see,
I think it depends on the context.
right. Like
Yeah.
I think maybe in like the sports world, if you look at
Right.
someone and they're like big and huge and, like strong, you're like, wow, she's a beast. And that's like, take that as a compliment, meaning like she looks like she could take someone down kind of thing, or like she's strong and powerful. And so I do think it doesn't sound like that's what this was. My arms are huge. Maybe this is a good lesson for her.
Well, she said I wasn't even sure. She wasn't even sure what she thought of them. So it's like she wasn't even saying, and I thought they looked great. Like
right.
She's not quite sure what she meant either.
Yeah. And I think I think a lot of people do this where they're almost, even from the time they're kids, like think about Mean Girls when they stand in front of the mirror and say all the things that they hate about themselves. And the idea is kind of like, you don't want to be that person that's like, so you think you're really pretty. Like you don't ever want to be, if she was like, wow, my arms look really toned there. You don't want to be, she doesn't want to be that. She's trained not to be that person either.
Right.
Like not to say anything good about yourself. I think that is a way that we interact with other people around our bodies. She doesn't want her to say something negative, but I don't know if she would also feel if she said something positive. If she was like, wow, I've been working out. My arms look really, I'm really, I feel like, I don't know, maybe my arms they look big, but
right.
Maybe
she would
I
sound
like
like an
it.
asshole then too. Yeah.
Yes. So it's like, you can't say anything good. You can't say anything bad. I guess the lesson is just don't comment on body shape at all, ever, your own or others.
I think like, obviously that's the ideal is like, ideally we're not constantly like critiquing and body checking and like commenting on our, like, it's not as big of a thing. I don't know if that's like super realistic. I think we're all just like observing all things at all times, and probably women, especially societally, are trained to like look for flaws in their own body and compare them to others and do those things. But I do think the particularly irritating thing here is the listener who wrote in's lack of awareness of like the other people in the room when she makes these comments.
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of like a good example. Like if someone was talking about a guy and I thought like he was pretty short, I wouldn't be like commenting on his height in front of a friend who had a shorter husband or something, or in front of a guy friend that like was on the shorter side. I mean, ideally I wouldn't comment on someone's height anyway, but like I think to do so, I think it could be like annoying in that you're like it's like a little bit of like a read the room situation. Like obviously we don't do these things at all, but I think that like I think it is important to have like some awareness of who you're talking to. And, maybe you want to complain about your arms to someone who doesn't have any, you know what I mean? Seems like to have absolutely no struggles with this at all. Or your friend who's very, very tiny might have a better ear to lend on. Like I remember when everyone was talking about their SAT scores, and someone would be like disappointed by their SAT score, and I'd be like, well, that was higher than mine. Like it's like a little bit of a, have a sense of who your audience is. And I think it's okay to brag, or it's okay to like complain every now and then. But I think honing that skill of like, let me like have a sense of my audience is a good skill to learn if you're gonna. And I call them indulging, because I think that like sometimes you're just kind of like this. I kind of want to just talk about what I want to talk about, and what I want to talk about now is like that I'm like a little annoyed that my arms look bigger than I would like in this picture. And fine, I don't think we need to be perfect all the time, but like maybe bring that complaint to someone else. Like I have friends who like, when my friends complain about their like little newborn babies, they're not coming to me. Like that's fine. I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm okay with someone having complaints about being like a mom of a newborn baby. I appreciate that they don't complain about that to me.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
good point. I get it. I agree. I could see why the friend was irritated by this, but I think for this listener, this is a growth moment. I think you can realize, hey, I might need to exercise some impulse control around my urges to talk about my body shape.
Right.
And do it, like be able to restrain that for the right context. And also, I do think it was interesting that she, almost like aside of the ethical dilemma of whether or not it was okay for her to say it, I think it's interesting for her to kind of be like, my brain has rehearsed this narrative around my body.
Yes.
And now that maybe I'm working out my arms or I'm doing something different, or even just I'm not doing anything different with my body, I would just like to accept my body. It is interesting to kind of be like, wait, that is not me, that voice in my head that for the past 30 years has been telling me that my body's not okay. That's just a voice in my head. That's not actually me. So I can be mindful of that and kind of be like, no, sorry, not going to go there. Going to take off those headphones with that voice today. And I'm going to put on my body positivity headphones, and maybe not with this friend, even just in your own mind to be mindful of, you know what? Maybe those arms look nice. Maybe I like the way that looks, just to allow your mindset to change a little bit.
Or to focus on a part of her body that she thinks looks great.
Yes.
I think we're always like looking for the negative or like the thing that doesn't feel like ideal in any situation. And I think the happiest people are the people who like see the best part of the picture.
Totally.
Like, wow, my outfit looks amazing here. Like, I loved my outfit here.
I think that's a great practice for anyone that's struggling with body image issues and we do this we've done this in groups before, where like stand in front of the mirror and just notice where your eyes go first. And if you're having body image issues, it's always going to be your problem area.
Right.
And that's just becoming aware of that's how your mind is trained to look at the thing that you don't like first and try to retrain your mind to be like, hey, I'm going to look at this thing that I have positive feelings towards first when I look in the mirror. Like training your brain to notice where you place your attention is where you live your life. And if you zoom in your attention to the part of yourself that you don't like, every time you see a photo or every time you look in the mirror, that's how you're going to feel. So I do think that's a great practice too.
Agreed. Good luck with that.
All right. Thanks for the email.